Welcome to the Tech on Toast podcast. We are the home of hospitality tech. Whether you're an operator wanting to untangle your tech or a technology provider wanting to join our community, we are the largest hospitality tech growth platform on the planet. The Tech on Toast podcast is brought to you today by Lightspeed. Lightspeed is the EPOS and payments platform that will help you scale your business at the speed of light. Trusted by over 170,000 businesses worldwide, including Big Mama, Mildred's, Mallow and Cubit House. Lightspeed seamlessly connects to an ecosystem of integrated solutions such as OpenTable, Xero, Muse, and many more. Are you ready to take your hospitality business to the next level? With the Lightspeed unified platform, customers can shave seconds off each transaction and increase tips. Need a little support modernizing your tech stack? No problem. Want to scale your business? Get fast funding with Lightspeed Capital. No hidden fees or interest charges. Eligibility criteria and terms and fees apply. Get your demo today at www.lightspeedhq.co.uk/Tech on Toast. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to the next episode of Tech on Toast podcast. And this week we're delighted to be joined by Darryl Bate, co-founder of A2H Solutions. Darryl, how are you, mate?
I'm good, Chris. All good.
It's quite nice to have Darryl here. Normally he's the chattiest man ever, but I think I've got him today on the podcast. I think he's afraid of me. So how are you, Darryl? You all right, mate?
Yeah, nervous, but I'm all right, you know. Don't normally talk.
You shouldn't be nervous. What you've been doing the last 12 months is insane, right? And I think where you've got to today, you should be pretty proud of yourself. So I understand your nerves because you want to talk about your product and it's your chance to get it out there. But I think you've been doing a good job again now. Tell us a little bit, before we get into A2H, tell us about you, because how have you got to this point in your career? What have you been doing previously?
Well, I did a mixture of things before I joined Stepstone, caterer.com. Started as like a junior account manager from working with some small accounts, and then just grew to being like an account director, working with larger corporations within hospitality. And then we had I hate talking about it, COVID came along and obviously shut down hospitality.
Yeah.
And I was redeployed into other sectors, working with other industries. And I went kicking and screaming because I loved hospitality so much. But like I said, it was the best decision I ever made, actually, looking back on it now, because I got to go out of my comfort zone,
right?
Learn, about different aspects of business, corporations, like programmatic advertising, etc. And then obviously I left a year ago and decided to venture into doing something on my own.
And what a year, eh?
Yeah, it's been crazy.
And also, I mean, people will pick up your accent. You're not from Cardiff.
No, I'm not from Cardiff. I'm an Essex boy at heart.
I had to bring it up.
I know, I'm an Essex boy at heart, but I live, like I said to be taught, I live in Surrey now, and I have posh children, so it's kind of like nice to.
How many kids you got?
I have two boys that are 14 and 12.
Oh wow!
And, they keep you on your toes.
Yeah, I bet.
But again, it's been nice to be part of their lives more, obviously through COVID as well, but also to be on my own and watch them grow up into, like doing their options at the moment and starting year 7, things like this that I don't even remember my dad being around at those when I was growing up.
Yeah, I'm on the same page, mate. I spent the first 10 years of my first 2 kids' lives working, right? And just, running to sports days, getting there late, looking like a dick, wife hating me, just,
exactly.
Generally just rolling her eyes at me every time I took a call in the middle of a sports day or whatever it was, or a Christmas concert. And I think at that point you don't think it's important, do you? It's not important, but other things are more on your mind. But I think as you get older a bit, you kind of appreciate that actually those bits, and you're never going to get them again.
And the other thing of that is what I've learned from being at home for the last year and working from home and all through COVID is that your kids actually see a hard-working parent, right?
Yeah.
And I think it surprises them how relentless I actually am as a human being, and how it's just non-stop.
I mean, I like you, but living with you, no thanks.
Yeah. People say that, and people working with me going,
your wife deserves a medal. And your kids.
They do.
So look, I mean, and obviously I met a few of the guys that you used to work with. We've worked with a few of them before, all lovely people actually. And I think there's quite a breed that have come out of that business that you were working at that have all been quite successful, right? One of them is one of your co-founders.
Yeah, James, my co-founder. I've been fortunate to know him for 9-10 years now. And it made sense when we were, looking at what we were going to do to work with good people.
Yeah.
I think having a business, working with the right people and choosing the people you want to work with is vital. And I think I've been very fortunate through the relationships I've built over the last 10 years to have such a great network around us, as a business, but also just working within the same industry.
I think if you have the ability to know the people before you go into business with them is much better, as in know them as a human.
Yes.
Before you get into any kind of business agreement with them is important, because there's less surprises, right?
Yeah, and watching what they're going through in their like backgrounds and their livelihoods and stuff, young families as well and young children and stuff, knowing that you've kind of done that. Yeah. And it's nice to watch them go through the same process that you've been through.
100%.
Knowing, it's nice to see that and be part of that journey with them as well, not just from a work perspective, but also from a personal perspective.
No, it's great. See, look, all the nerds have gone. You're absolutely fine. Look, and we've got, you explained this to me about 19 times, I think, presently. And it's not on Darryl. This is all on me. But actually, what you're doing is, I would say, it's unique, right, in the way that you're approaching it, but also terribly exciting, because the biggest problem in not just our industry but any industry right now is people, in terms of retaining them, recruiting them, giving them a great place to work. And you're really trying to challenge one of those, two of those problems, I suppose, in terms of retaining recruitment. So tell us what you've built over this last 12 months while you've been impressing your children.
It's as simple as possible. I'll try and explain it. But basically, over the last 9-10 years, I've just worked with some great people and tried to understand where their problems and issues lie, and tried to come up with like a solution or solutions that can come in and try and make their lives easier. I think the biggest challenge with this is that you've had a way of working for so long, and you're trying to shift that way of working into a new way of working. Yeah. And obviously that's change, transformation, and that has its challenges, right? No one really likes change.
Everybody hates change.
Everyone hates change. And funny, we used to have the one constant thing that happened in Stepstone was there's always change. Yeah. And those that went with the change benefited from it.
Grew.
And so I've kind of taken it upon myself to drive this change. To help and give the benefit to customers. And I feel like that's why it's gaining so much traction and success, is because you are helping people with these solutions.
And in essence, right, anything you build in tech or in whatever you're doing, if there isn't an end goal where you are assisting, I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say out loud, but if you're not assisting someone, because we just had a brief conversation outside by, sometimes some people will get so big that potentially it doesn't become a job or a service anymore in terms of helping people. It becomes more of a machine where you're just printing money, right? And I'm sure the other people on the other end are getting some kind of service, but it's different to where you're at right now. Yeah. And carry on, because I think it's really interesting the way you built this.
So when I left Total Jobs and Stepstone, I left with no real clarity and purpose. Had ideas of what I wanted to do. But we created A2H Solutions, A2H Solutions, and all it was there really to do was be a digital recruitment agency. To help anyone with a digital landscape. And we spoke about it's how we got introduced, Chris, right? Yeah. Like, because that I was looking at different things, and I'm quite involved with the tech side of things from how small. Like, I like looking at the payroll systems.
Control
and I
freak.
Yeah, but I'm always talking about the same story as I when I was before Total Jobs. Is I used to like the card machines. Yeah. And I knew the guy that sold the Ingenico machine to McDonald's globally, and they rolled it out. So every time I went to a McDonald's or a service station like Shell, I knew the person that had sold the Ingenico payment card. So, and I was like, it always enthralled me. So obviously when I was doing the job board world, and I met all the ATS and the job board providers and the multi-posters and stuff, I kind of was very interested in how it all works and functions. And if you can help translate that to customers, you could come in and help them in any way, like doing job postings, or how do you get your jobs live, how do you track it, how do you integrate with ATSs and stuff. And that's kind of what A2H was basically built. And then we built like different solutions under that arm, which have grown individually or organically or having, and we've just gone down that path and gone, well, that's grown nicely and that's grown nicely. So that's kind of what A2H is we have different,
it's the best time at Darryl, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of been nice to watch everything grow from under what we've built. And obviously one of those solutions was the fee distribution portal. Yeah. We've had the hospitality network, which is growing. We launched the care network.
The care network's really interesting, because there's so many, weirdly, so many crossovers between hospitality and care. Yes. And my dad, I was telling you, owns a few care homes up in the Wirral on Merseyside. And I was talking to him about you guys this morning when I saw the post. You should check them out. They're doing this, and he's far too old to care about it anymore. But he was talking about how horrific the spend on recruitment is in those businesses, as in they're just churning people, and they're just, I think, spraying and praying potentially. And
it's spiraling, Chris. Yeah. It's like it's spiraling, and there's no real control, and no one really knows how to be spending their money and where they should be spending it and what they're actually getting in terms of.
Because you provide transparency, right? Don't you?
That's where one of the solutions is obviously we have the programmatic platform, which we've plugged into the hospitality network, which allows customers to basically see that transparency around the views and clicks. Like programmatic advertising, by the way, has always been around. Job boards have always used it to manage the views and clicks, and that's what programmatic essentially is that it's the views and clicks of your advertising.
So it's the analytics behind what you're
around
doing.
it. What we've been able to do is translate that into a recruitment in terms of that you can see the views and clicks and what it's generating in terms of applications. And then you can then go and like basically check where you should be moving that budget around.
So basically, you can sense check what you're doing, whether what you're doing is working. Basically,
yeah.
So I can say, oh, look, I spend 500 quid on that. I've got nothing, but I'm spending 300 quid over here. We're getting some traction. So let's keep going with that one. Obviously, which normally you don't get that opportunity to see, right?
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you're buying it at source, so what that means is that obviously you've built the integration. So the feed distribution portal is kind of what we started out with, Chris, when we did A2H Solutions, and we obviously have worked with some great developers, and we were able to mirror like how big corporations get the jobs live, like in an XML format. So basically, we just work with the ATS and take the XML of the jobs and put it into our system. So then we can then help the customers map the jobs to the job boards and aggregators they want to go to. Normally, how that would usually work as a multi-poster is you'd post one job at a time, and then every job board or supplier would turn around and say, right, if you do it in this way, we'll optimize it. If you do keywords, if you do the right job titles, if you do the salaries, etc. But you have to do that for every individual job board. Whereas what our system was able to do was take the jobs and then pre-optimize them with our technology to make sure that they were mapped to the right boards with the right optimization. So from a
time saving as well, right?
From an in-house recruitment perspective, you post a job once now, use our systems, then have the jobs be mapped to the right boards with the right optimization. So you never have to worry about going to change the job on the job board. So we just make it really seamless.
It reminds me weirdly of, so bear with me, so Deliverect who sit with all the aggregators, so Deliveroo, Uber, right? There's nothing to do with recruitment, so bear with me.
Yeah.
So, but they took a big problem where people were manually processing orders in restaurants for every different channel, 5 different iPads for 5 different providers. They put it all in one place and they enabled it to be one touch and go. Yeah. And it reminds me of it, the way my weird brain understands it is this consolidation piece. It really reminds me the way you just described it then is like you're not just being efficient, you're actually saving time and potentially would generate more revenue.
It is, and I was with a hotel group last week, and it was funny, and this is where my tech mind goes, is that they have working with a company that basically brings in, like Booking.com, Hotel.com, Expedia, that basically brings them all into one system so they can manage and control the room costs. Yeah. But they can map it out for the next year.
I think someone said to me, what will 2024 be? And I said consolidation. I think that where tech's been amazing, like really exploded over the past 5-10 years, and particularly over the pandemic, I think now people are looking and go, whoa, there's a lot.
There is a lot.
And we need to bring it where we can into one place. And then we always have this conversation about all-in-one versus best-in-class, right? Yes. In terms of what you're doing with whether it's recruitment or food cost, it doesn't matter. But and I think slowly but surely we're starting to see people like you bringing these systems together where they're saying, look, you only have to touch this once. You can post one job once and we'll get you the best results. Yeah. Whereas when you're spraying and praying the other way, it's just inefficient, right? And we don't have any people, so we can't be inefficient anymore.
I used to love Skyscanner, right?
Yeah.
Because it used to bring all the flight times.
That's right,
so you're looking for a flight. So rather than go to BA and EasyJet and Ryanair and check the flight times, go into one system that could actually like check all the flight times, the best flights, the best costs and the best times, and then you go to that site to book it. I was like, that was kind of how my mind was always thinking that this is how it should work. It's there. It's just actually like trying to translate it into a recruitment background. So that's why if you think of like all the suppliers, the hospitality network, just basically coordinate together so everyone can then see the suppliers they're using and then go and find the best traffic. Yeah. And as a bit like as you do with Skyscanner or with this company, and I was like, I really want to meet those guys because what a great idea of getting the hotel rooms. And everyone obviously speak to hotels and stuff. They always never liked working with those partners.
Well, I think when you talk about change, they're probably the most resistant to change because of the nature of they're so guest centric. And it sounds really bad for restaurants, but I'm sure they are guest centric. But the hotel guys really, every bloody decision is based around this probably one guest, right? And I think the tech side of things has been slower there because they're bigger beasts, right?
Yeah, but also they're trying to control the room costs, right? Because it has a direct, what they charge for a room has a direct cost in terms of paying wages and salaries and stuff as that one. So if they can control...
It's like dynamic pricing, right? The way that,
so then they can change the price and they can compete against what the other hotels are doing. So if a hotel's charging £300 a night, why charge £450? Because you're not going to get the rooms. Whereas if you can align it...
I tell you what, Darryl, if you're looking for another company, there's a payments in hospitality generally is feels like a bit of a race at the moment. Everybody's doing it, right? And I think if you could find a way where you could aggregate payments into one place where you could literally get people to compete, so an operator could pick, I'm going to go with X today, that would be insane.
I know. Well, it's being done, right? Because I have a curve card.
Yeah.
And it's the same premise, right? The curve card puts all your bank cards and all accounts into one card. So when you go and pay for something, you can then choose what account you want to do, rather than have to, when you go to the shops, you go, use my this card or this card or my Amex or whatever. Whereas the curve card kind of brings it in-house. But they have the same challenges, right? Because Amex won't work with curve.
Yeah, it's just like you can't play with my toys, right? And that's the way. And that's the most interesting thing, because obviously we work with a lot of partners. And the lack of integration, I totally understand in a lot of cases, because they built this thing, they want to sweat it. But also from an operator side, that's the biggest bugbear. It's all I hear. We've just signed a contract with a huge London market hall type vendor. That was a really long way of explaining NDA. But it was really interesting to hear all they care about is integration. Yeah, they're over it. They just want it all to work in one place. And I think so. I mean, and whilst I don't think you're paying anyone on LinkedIn to say this, there's just been some amazing feedback, right, from your product and you've got to think, right, normally when a product launches, it probably takes a year to 18 months to get some credible case studies and feedback and, kind of real, it works. But you guys I don't know if you're strong arming these people.
No, I think
there's been some brilliant feedback on LinkedIn.
It's been amazing to grow, because everyone who knew me, I never did a picture. I used to quietly go about my work. And I'd do the right thing by the customer. To try and translate that, that's been the biggest challenge, I would say, over the last 12 months, is translating the good work you do to then make it resonate with what people see
like social
LinkedIn.
proof.
Social proof, because these things I used to do anyway, but it's just nice to then share that in there and then get the buying from the market, right? This is what I'm trying to do. It's not just an individual bespoke client thing. This is about helping a market understand and get the transparency around where they should be spending money to then make informed decisions about where to do it. And
it must make you so proud, because that's validation, right? When you hear people say stuff like that, I wish I'd written one down now, but there were some cracking ones from one of the hotel chains. It's the solution I never knew I needed.
Yeah, it's fun, and that's from Gemma. And when you know these people, it's lovely to you get very humbled, and I've always tried to remain humble with everything I've ever done. And so when you get those comments, it just, like I said, it's that validation of you know that you're doing the right thing. And the fact that then, what I'm even more prouder at is I haven't had to call anyone up and sell the system. Like, I've always prided myself of not being that salesman that, and clients will laugh because they'll go, Darryl hates being called a salesman, right? I've always just tried to do the right thing by the customer. So then when customers are then sharing the good work that you're doing, you then don't have to then go and sell it. Yeah. You just provide, like, this is what it does, this is how it works, this is how easy it is to switch on. And that's all from the partnerships we built working with the suppliers. And I've got so many people I could sit there and thank.
Yeah, you've got some massive, David, obviously, from
People Bank, Dan Mamone at Harry, the guys at Talent Funnel, Forth as
Paul.
well. Yeah, and then obviously, and then particularly in the care sector, that's even bigger and a wider thank you pot. So it's been quite nice to do that. But then that's all. The reason why I've done that is to benefit customers. Yeah. So that they can then come to us and go, I can get my jobs in the place I want them. I can get the transparency about what those are delivering. And where they were. So I saw Dawn from HJUK this morning. Yeah. Just bumped into her in town, chatting to her. Dan's obviously here from Leisure Jobs. Like I said, it's just nice to be all connected, all working together, and not putting our egos aside.
Yeah. I think one of the big benefits of that as well from learning from the SaaS guys over the last 18 months in Tech on Toast is that the most frustrating thing must be to go and offer your solution to someone, then say, oh yeah, can't do that because you don't integrate into XYZ. It would blow my mind if I had a product. I literally wouldn't sleep at night. So I think building those partnerships, as everybody's now becoming aware, is absolutely crucial to growing your business.
It really is. And then when you know that you've got such a good piece of kit, like the feed distribution tool, and one of the challenges, I talked to you about the diversity and inclusion piece, right? And social mobility groups, where people want to work and target those groups. And they couldn't really get to their jobs on them. And it was always a manual process, right? Because those social mobility groups would have to go to the ATS partners to then build an integration for that particular customer. And the ATS is, the CTOs have to try and fit that within their roadmap to build the integration to do it. But then they've done it for one customer and then they have to then build it, the other customer do it. So it's always a slow burner to get off the ground. What has been nice with this is obviously once you get the jobs directly, you can then build those relationships up with all the social mobility groups to allow customers to get their jobs and target groups that they never could ever target before.
Yeah.
So whether that be early careers, whether that be targeting over 50s, whether that be the DWP job centre.
All the buzzwords that have been around for the last year that no one's really worked out how to service.
No one's really knows to do it.
Yeah,
and also, you don't want to just go and post your jobs on specific boards, because actually I think that's counterintuitive to posting your jobs like on a diversity board specifically to target certain candidates.
Yeah.
Whereas actually what you want to do is I want to take the same job and I want to get it to all of those boards as quickly as possible, so that then naturally I've got more visibility of my jobs to target more people, and then over time you will naturally then create an inclusive workforce and have a diverse workforce.
Love that.
So that's kind of what I've been trying to get to, and that's the next part of this journey as well.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. I talk about him every week. I think of Nixon now. I think he's autistic, and my little boy and I talk about him regularly about. And we're doing something with Toast POS called Dots, which is Devs of the Future, and we're going to help basically help get some laptops in kids' hands and just let them code a bit and just see if it helps them out. But the other thing I always think about with him, when he does go to apply, where does he apply, right?
Where does he apply and how does he apply?
And does he want to put himself in a pot with a bone? And if you've got autism, you're not like the next guy who's got autism, right? Everyone's different, and I think sometimes putting them all in a little, like they have at school, they have labs, they call them, special labs where they put these kids who have got autism. But Nixon doesn't go in them because we refused to we said we don't want him in a lab. We want him to sit with everyone else, and so it's this constant battle he's going to have all his life against people trying to put him in a bucket.
And I've been reading some great stuff on LinkedIn about how people from those backgrounds really struggle with applying for jobs.
100%.
And I think the biggest challenge, and that's something that I'm going to grow out, is that working with these groups because I want them to be able to work with customers that they never were able to do to work with. So if I can help that and overcome that, it kind of makes us more like stickier with our customers, because where else could they go to get their jobs on that side?
And also, I always think when the industry's crying about, we haven't got enough people, we haven't got this, these kids have got, not just autistic kids, anybody with any kind of I suppose disability have got some amazing skills that can be utilised, but we just I think there's a bit of everyone likes to talk about it, but no one really wants to get into it. And I kind of understand why, because they're trying to open the doors of the restaurant every day, but at the same time there's so much opportunity, especially in care as well. When you talk about the care network, there's so many people in there.
But then you add that once you got that, then you have to look at the next challenge, right? So the next challenge from that, like I said,
I don't think you're going to stop, Darryl.
No, but the next challenge does that is giving them the right training. So that it's all right coming into the industry, but you want them to stay in the industry, right? So if someone comes in, you get them in, then you want to then give them the right training so they stay in that industry, because what normally happens is they come in and they don't have a great experience and they don't want it. And to be honest, my hospitality experience when I started working wasn't great, but I was still passionate about it. You know what I mean? And obviously hospitality gets me because, it's kind of like, not egocentric, and you just can work with great people from different backgrounds, right? It's a diverse workforce anyway, because you work with different people from different backgrounds. And I'm particularly passionate about it. And the same with the care sector. So it's kind of like they're quite crossover, and it's because of that. So if I can, and I had my sister's dyslexic, so she, and the challenges that she had during that time before it all became like Senko in schools and trying to support no one.
That's right.
And the challenges that she had with that. And before that, my auntie couldn't read and write. No, but it wasn't because she couldn't read, or I didn't have the opportunity. She just struggled with doing it, but she still was able to work in a job, and she used to clean trains. So it's understanding that background. So it's quite passionate for me to then go, if I can help overcome that and help people get into working. That's kind of what I've.
There was something on the radio yesterday, I forget now, but it was talking about people who were taking disability benefits and actually don't want the benefit, want to go to work. And she refusing her disability benefit because she wants to feel like she's taking part, right, and not feeling like she's a drain on society, which is totally not the case. But I think it's riveting, and I think the way you sit in what you do, you can do a lot of good, can't you? Because
you can do, and
I know it's a company, I get it. We're going to make money and all that kind of stuff, but also
we've got like some ethos mission statements that we had when we first started doing this, and it's doing the right thing, helping customers, helping candidates as well, but doing it in the right way. And hence why when we did the Hospitality Network as an aggregator site, it was about giving candidates the opportunity to apply for jobs and find those jobs in a seamless way, rather than capturing information, ask them to fill out processes again. That's what maybe that's the old way of doing it.
Yeah.
And we're moving into a new way where it is just allowing candidates to see the jobs and applying.
And how far down the road are you on the new way, do you think, compared to your competitors and everyone else doing it?
Well, it's had its challenges, and obviously you're trying to get people with that way of thinking to understand that why should you work in this way. But if you can have control over where the views and clicks and the applications are coming from your jobs, but then you can then see, and that's where the back end, of the system comes into fruition, because if you can then see that visibility and see the whole transparency, I think that's the key, is it's clear and transparent from the source of the advert or the application to then understand how much it costs for a click, how much it costs for a view, the application, then moving that to cost per interview, cost per hire.
Yeah, it's huge. Everybody loves the data as well, right?
I know, but to see that in one system, so when you can sit between the ATS and the job board suppliers, but then also then get the data back from the ATSs to then, so that you can see that full transparency, it then allows you to then see, well, what did it cost me for that interview? What did it cost me for that hire? And I think that's why customers are like, right, not only do you help get our jobs from the fee distribution model to the places we want to, where we never got them before, we're also able to see what is actually delivering in terms of a cost per hire basis, which I've spent 9 years working and no one's really been able to show me.
Yeah, you're passionate about it, mate. Yeah. You can feel it coming over the desk.
I've worked with some great people that have always delved into that data piece, but it's never been automatically done.
Yeah.
It's always been a manual process where you have to pull data from here.
CSVs everywhere.
CSVs files out. Whereas actually now I've been able to take that and put it into one system where customers can see all of that, and then from a click of a button they can then change where the jobs are going to then get better visibility from those boards as well. And the boards like it, right? The reason why I feel like we've got loads and loads of suppliers on board that want to work with us is because we are able to show, when you go back to what I said in terms of building integration and showing the data in the ATS, is that we're able to show how well they're delivering.
Because I'm guessing that really helps them, right? Be able to say to their people that are paying them, look what we do. Because before that, how did they do? I mean, was it downloads? Was it CSV downloads?
Well, it would always be the conversation of and this is every job board.
Yeah, because I would ask the question, if I was an employer, why am I paying you this much?
Why am I paying this money?
Getting from it?
And procurement would say, what you're paying. You say, well, I'm paying a bit. They just look at it as a cost, right? Yeah. I'm paying X amount of money.
That's what we pay.
Yeah. But what are we getting for that?
Well, that's just what it is. That's the cost of.
And
I'm sure that's what the conversation was even last year, right? I'm sure the conversation was just that's what it costs to do recruitment.
Yeah, and most of the suppliers, based on their relationships, would be that they like working with that person. They know they're trying to do a good job and show if you think of all the suppliers that they've got, they've always had the same challenges. Well, we delivered X amount of applications, but our ATS is not showing that.
Yeah.
So then how do you do that? Whereas now I've been able to bridge that gap and say, well, they delivered 100 applications. This is where they ended up.
So they can hold them to account as well, right?
They can hold them
in a nice way, but in
a nice way. But
in a more constructive way, put it that way, in a business fashion.
But if you back what you're delivering, and this is the key to it, right? And I've worked with it's getting people to say, well, if you're delivering a good service, then if you deliver good service in a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
People are going to go back for more.
Yeah, of course.
So if you deliver a good delivery of applications and you're able to translate that into interview and hires, then the customer's then going to buy more of it, right?
I think it's interesting because in restaurant world, where I spent most of my life in casual dining, that there was always a labour cost attached to sales. Yeah. So attached to sales was a labour cost, the cost of doing business. So how many waiters, chefs, whatever on the floor. But the real cost of recruitment sat underneath the line. So it sat lower down in where we're spending money on Indeed or spending money on recruitment adverts or whatever it might be. And I do wonder sometimes if that line was ever moved up into the direct cost against sales, say how much you're actually spending on, not just on the people that run around the floor, but what is your total cost in recruitment versus your sales. I wonder if people might have got here quicker because there's a lot of money being spent right on that other line.
It is. And obviously
inefficiently.
And if you talk about what I'm trying to do, evolve it even more, is if I could work with the payroll systems, right?
Yeah.
To build that data set into it. So obviously working with, this is Pineapple, working with Abby and what they're doing, great work in terms of that side. It's all about the data, right?
Yeah.
So if you can coordinate together, or work with the payroll systems, in terms of how that looks. There's a lot out there which are all part of the Tech on Toast thing, is to then build that data right from hire, then into the payroll. So then you can say, right, if I lose this bartender or I lose this waiter, what's that going to cost me to replace? And then you can factor that into the cost. If we don't get this person within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, then we can. So you can actually build it out even more.
Yeah, because I think the only measure was ever. I mean, Abby will confirm this. We only ever used to talk about 90 days, right? That was the only measure and that was kind of made up. Well, who picked 90 days, right? Why 90 days? Yeah. But it became the thing 0 to 90, right? And I think that was the only real measure. And still, then someone will say, I remember saying to James a while ago, "What's the cost of losing
What's the cost?
And we all fiddled around at 1,500 quid or whatever it might be, but then someone's like, no, it's 3.5.
So I know that was the plan when we were building out A2H Solutions. But then, like I said, we've built our other solutions from that to help with like employer branding from that as well, where people struggle with that.
Yeah.
So like there's different arms of it, like career sites. We're doing a lot of projects around career sites, and people need help with that one. You know, managing their the CPC spend around Google and stuff. So we're building that into the system as well, so you can manage the traffic around career site.
Yeah.
Which would be like a massive thing.
So you're basically, under your umbrella will be everything people.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yes.
Maybe some of it will be your partners that do the heavy lifting on that. But,
yeah. Because like, I'm not an EVP specialist.
Yeah.
Right? I used to work. I think that's something that I picked up from.
Yeah, you used to work with a really cool firm, didn't you? TJ, was that right?
Yeah, Total Jobs. Yeah, but then what I was very good at was working with the different solutions within the business. So like if it was Milk Round with the early careers and graduate stuff, if it was Universum with the EVP stuff.
That's right, Universum.
Universum, which I really liked. You know, but I wasn't very good at understanding and articulating.
Right, okay.
So I'd bring them in to do it. And it's the same with A2H Solutions. It's like if we don't understand it and you'd help with it, then we've built out those partners so that then they can come in and step in and support us with that. And we've got some great projects that we haven't even shouted about. You know, like we've got the hospitality network and that's been getting all the traction on there, but we've got other things that we're going on about, but it's just picking as and when we need to. So which is it's again just what made us so busy and like the team's growing.
I think it's hard, isn't it, sometimes just to stop and think, what have I achieved in the last few months? And sometimes you need to do that, right? As a founder, just kind of sit down and go, that was quite good.
It was quite good. Someone described me the other day, and I took it as a compliment. And they said that they'd watched a video on YouTube,
right?
And it was about an ice hockey player that had trained his dog to catch the puck,
right,
in the goal.
Yeah.
So he had like 100 balls and one puck, and he was firing the balls at the goal, and the dog never moved. Yeah. And then when he fired the puck, the dog would get the puck, bring it back, put it back. And he said, the first thing I thought of was Darryl Bate, because he's the guy that will sit there and not deal with all the balls are all around, but he's just focused on the puck.
Yeah.
And then if he knows that that's fun, he'll just focus on that and bring it out. And I was like,
and I think you used the word relentless before, and whether people like it or not, sometimes I read on LinkedIn, the 5 a.m. club, all these founders talk about get up at 5 and start. But actually, I think the key thing about a founder is being relentless. Actually, and some people say it's unhealthy. It probably is.
100%.
But it's in your nature, right? I feel like I can't remove that part of me.
Yeah.
I wish I could sometimes, because it's Sunday night when I'm working, I'm just thinking,
I think it's that you
what
care.
am I doing?
I think it's a caring attribute that you want to do.
Let's call it that instead. Passion.
Yeah, it is passion, and I said, and I lost that when I was going through my leaving of Total Jobs. Is I put it down to the fact that I had no clarity and no purpose.
Yeah.
I knew it was a real big moment of where I was going to go and what, and then once I found it, you're back to the dog, right?
Yeah.
You've got the puck.
Yeah.
You're going to just catch that. And
it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you go through your career, you think of those moments where you have those, and I think a lot of people I meet in here are the same. That actually there's a bit of a light bulb moment. Actually, not that time they know it's the light bulb moment. It kind of happens, and then they look back and go, "That was it.
Yeah,
that was when I knew that I had to do something different." But now I only realise that, and it's very odd. It's very odd that it takes probably a year sometimes to look back and go, actually,
it does. And then when obviously I was very fortunate when I took the time out. We during this whole process, the support of customers while we were getting it all set up and doing the trials and tribulations of it, the bumps in the road, right?
Yeah. And
getting it all sorted. To be travelling around, and I went to the US in the summer for 6 weeks, and we just travelled around to take some time out from everything. And I remember that it was about 3 weeks in. I remember driving. We were just doing the Pacific Highway, and I just remember it's the first time I've ever felt relaxed and chilled. So strange, isn't it? Like
that's why a 10-day holiday's no good, is it?
It's no good, because by the time you've then got into that, you're back into it, and then it takes you another 10 days to get into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was the first time I was able to do like basically a reset.
Yeah.
Right. That was part of that. I'm happy with that, and I think that's fundamental as well. You've got to be happy with what you do.
And you're a very different person. I find as well when you like weird stuff like walking the dog, mowing the lawn. So, like that's very weird times where I feel like I've just come out of. I'll just for some reason I'll be thinking about something not work.
Yeah,
I'll be pushing the lawnmower backwards and forth. Maybe it's repetition. I don't know that I just become.
And I think
separated.
That's the balance point, right? You've got to find that balance in terms of like, yes, work's important, but family's important as well. And I, like I said, I've been very fortunate with this. And that's one of our ethoses, right? We want to do the right thing by our people.
Yeah.
So I've got this. We've built A2H Solutions, but now we're building a culture.
Yeah.
Right, within A2H Solutions and the hospitality network and the care network, and we just want people to be part of that.
Yeah.
Like that culture, and I think that's where we're trying to. It's not pushing you into it. If you want to work for us, great. If you don't want to work for us, we're never going to force you into it. We just want you to be. We know that we can help.
Yeah, 100%.
And if we can help and do anything, however small, then great. We'll get success from that.
And I mean, we've done half an hour already. It's mental.
I know.
If people are listening, because this is truly a game changer, right? I mean, and I'm not, and I was saying, obviously, I talk to product every week. Most weeks we talk about a product, but this one, only because when you see early traction on something, you know you've done the right thing.
Yeah.
So you know when you were saying, I think you said before, I haven't had to go out and sell it; it's just come in.
Yeah.
I think then you know, right? You don't really know because you're doing it, but
Yeah.
now you're looking back, thinking, oh, hang on, this is a thing. If people are hearing this and they want to at least have a look and find out what they could save or how efficient they could be, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Either contact myself or James or anyone really that's using the system. If you see it, then just contact them. And that people are getting in contact with us. You know, we get, we just think it's been a bit of a quiet day, and then we get another introduction. It's been quite, let's say, it's been quite humbling. But just reach out, give us a call. We tend to just we're not going to bombard you and chase you down. Like if you want to understand how it works, and try and bring it down as simple as possible because it's quite
Chris's level. I'm sure the people will get it more than I did.
They will get it. If you think of it in simplistic terms, it's a feed distribution portal that helps you get your jobs into places that you never could before. You've got a system that can help manage your budget and the visibility around that, and you get all the information in terms of your interview and hire data, which you then can go back and then make informed decisions about it. And if you need any help with anything else, hence why we have the Tech on Toast partnership, is that people come to us and they ask us about this, and we say, well, we're not the experts at it, but we work with experts.
Yeah.
So then contact them, and I think that's kind of what we're a shop that you can come and whatever you need. We can try and help.
Darryl will help you out.
Yeah, it's kind of how we've always built it, and that's under the A2H umbrella.
No, I love it, and your energy, enthusiasm. Obviously, we know James well as well. He has the same level of energy. I think you called him the broom before, right?
The relentlessness sometimes causes a lot of. I have other nicknames. Other people appreciate it. I'm called the Commander of Chaos sometimes.
Captain Chaos.
Captain Chaos. Yeah, Commander. No, I'm the next.
You're a level up.
I'm a level up.
You're a level of Darwin Núñez. Yeah.
Commander of Chaos. And sometimes you need the right people around you.
Oh, 100%.
To help funnel that.
I think you were talking about that before, actually, when we talked about finding the right business partners.
Yes.
Actually having someone who isn't you is really important because I know I am a nightmare to work with, and I'm sure you probably are. Not in a negative sense, but I'm sure it can be exhausting, right? Being around someone who's constantly being creative and trying to chase down the puck.
It is, but exactly, the puck. But it's also, like I said, having the right people around you so you can make the right decisions. Yeah. So that if you are going to step forward, you then know it's the right thing. And you see a lot of entrepreneurs, don't you, that are literally just I
hate that phrase, but
I know. And I've been labelled that. And I don't know whether I like that one or salesperson.
I think you just be a founder, mate. I think that's where you are.
That's why I put it. I put founder going.
The problem with entrepreneur is that so many people are, I'm doing my air quotes, are entrepreneurs. But the reality is they're not, right? And I think it kind of, some people are out there literally killing themselves, right, to get their product off the ground, whatever. And they're the real they're like entrepreneurs. I think you've got founders who build an idea, bring great people around them, and then push. And I think it's a different
and the partnerships. You do that together. I always felt like going on your own. And I had some great mentors at Total Jobs and Stepstone. And I was gutted to leave when I left because I'd built up such a I was part of a family there, and I'd some of the quotes I learned the using the term we. Yeah. When I joined, I was an I person. It was me. When I left, I was very much a we. It was about how
that really comes across.
How
actually.
we do it, and I think I've taken that massively forward with me with everything.
But I think you seem to be affected by people around you quite a lot, which is a really good thing. I think you're like a sponge, right? So you're, if good or bad, right? I'm sure you pull things off people because it's just
you have your moments, Chris, and you think, oh God, it's the one thing that always lets you down is a human being, right? So
always. Humans will always let you down.
Always let you down.
Well, actually, I always say humans will always surprise you.
Yes,
in good or bad ways, right? Let's put it that way.
And as long as you can deal with that bump in the road, and I think from that perspective, it's been nice. And it comes back to that culture: is that I'm going to make mistakes. I've always made mistakes. But I always had great people around me to help me in terms of we'll do it in this way or we'll do it in that way. And I think that's what I've loved about doing A2H Solutions.
And I think you move quite quick, right? I don't know you that well, but I imagine if, for instance, James says, "Oh, actually, I think we should just go down this way," you'd be like, "Okay, let's do it." Yeah. And because I think often you want to be told, right?
Yeah.
Because it's hard, right? Keep saying, let's do this, let's do that. I'm going here, and everyone's kind of following you. Like, would someone just mind having a go?
And I think that's what allows me to then bring in like the right people around me to go, oh, Darryl, what about that? Because I'm relentless and I'm ruthless with it as well. Whereas I know that if it's the right thing to do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think with this, we've kind of like once we knew we had the right ingredients, I was like straight away and I've flown it. It's now nice to then do a reset, bring it all in house and go, right, who's doing what? Everyone's understanding their ownership of where they are with it, and it's nice. And on the next Tuesday we have the whole people that we've worked with coming together to say like thank you very much, get down together to do so. Like it's the first time we've been able to do that in 12 months, to actually sit down and go, what a great piece of work we've done.
Nice.
Let's do that, and then we can then plan the next bit, and then we know like with what we've coming out and building roadmaps and all that. It's gonna hopefully people will want to come on board the journey.
I think if they just go on LinkedIn, they'll find you at the moment.
I think so.
It's busy enough.
So, or they want donuts, or they want merch, or they want.
I didn't mention the donuts. Yeah.
Well, no, that's
if you just want free donuts, go and work with these guys. And what is the website? I forgot to ask
so
before.
it's A2H Solutions.com, or you can get in contact with the Hospitality Network.
Perfect. And you can find Darryl Bate on LinkedIn or James Rodricks. Probably quite
Darryl
close
Bate.
to him on LinkedIn somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And these guys are breaking the mold here. So thank you very much for coming in, mate.
Thanks, Chris. For having
really lovely to see you and learn more about you. Actually, it's been really cool, especially the puck. I'll be using that one all day today. I love it. Thanks very much, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you very much, Chris. Cheers.